first, many of you tonight are very angry, rightfully so. The FBI is blatantly targeting our fellow Americans for their political beliefs. The Bureau's reputation has been shattered. My faith in an organization, I'll be honest, I had two family members. They were deity in my family because they worked for this organization. I revered this organization for decades of my life. If you listen to my radio show, watch this show, you know my love of law enforcement. It has now pretty much been utterly destroyed. And more specifically, I just do not trust, nor I think should anybody be able to trust, high-ranking people that have now perpetuated those people at the top of the FBI, the Trump-Russia conspiracy theory hoax. It was all a lie for years. They knew it was a lie. They kept perpetuating the lie. Those that purposely lied to FISA court judges to spy on a presidential candidate and a president again and again and again. They have hurt this institution. We needed institutionalized reforms. We didn't get that. They protected the corruption. They protected the deep state. The raid on the former president's private home is shocking. It is wrong. It is a clear and gross abuse of power and corruption. The Wall Street Journal and their editorial board called it dangerous and warned that AG Merrick Garland is now taking the U.S. down a perilous path. They're right. And according to my sources tonight, on Monday morning, up to 40 FBI agents rolled up to Mar-a-Lago unannounced, guns ablaze, in about a dozen vehicles, including a large moving truck. Over the course of the next several hours, the agents went room by room, scouring the property, boxing up every document they had in sight. They even rifled through Melania's wardrobe. Agents also demanded that the Mar-a-Lago staff turn off all security cameras. Well, we can tell you tonight those security cameras kept rolling. They were not shut off. And now we can report exclusively tonight that the FBI and the Bureau is desperately trying to obtain all of the footage. I wonder why. Trump's attorney, who was there that morning, will join us and tell us what went on from their vantage point. And they were blocked from viewing the warrant at all. They were forced to stand outside the gates at Mar-a-Lago while all of this was happening. And here's a shocker. According to Newsweek, the FBI utilized a, quote, confidential informant inside of Mar-a-Lago who assisted the agents with their search. And also tonight, the media is feigning indignation and outrage that some people are saying that Donald Trump should be concerned about the possibility of planted evidence or bugs. Now, let me be very, very clear. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. Do I have any knowledge about any of this? I do not. None whatsoever. But think of it this way. Had the FBI upper echelon not lied to the people in this country for years about Donald Trump and Russia and collusion that never happened, and had they not lied repeatedly to FISA court judges so that they could spy on Carter Page and backdoor and spy on the Trump campaign, transition team, and presidency, I kind of tend to doubt anyone would have any suspicion. Director Wray should have held all of those bad actors accountable. I said so at the time, and I was right, or it would get worse. He failed to do so. He should have cleaned up the most prestigious at the time federal law enforcement agency in the world. He didn't do it. And that causes people to be suspicious. Director Wray could have restored the faith and trust in the FBI, and he has failed to do so. And meanwhile, the judge magistrate who signed off on this warrant was a big Obama donor with big ties to, guess who? Jeffrey Epstein. You can't make this up. Who posted also about his hatred for President Trump on Facebook. He even promoted this statement, quote, Donald Trump doesn't have the moral stature to kiss John Lewis's feet. Moral stature? We're getting lectured by a judge that defended Jeffrey Epstein's accomplices. You can't make this up. Seriously. And get this, the judge formally recused himself during a suit between Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton. We have full details on that and much more with John Solomon tonight. Now, by the way, why would the FBI go to a low-level judge magistrate who is not appointed by a president, not confirmed by the Senate, for such a high-level case? And why would the FBI send 40 agents to storm Mar-a-Lago for a National Archives request when they were already invited in? We'll give you more details on this in a second. Trump's office had already been working to get these documents in the right place. In fact, we have the document. In February, the National Archives, they released a statement. It's even on their website if you want to look at it, noting that the former president's cooperation, 15 boxes were already transferred to the archives months ago. Other boxes of interest were stored in a room at Mar-a-Lago, secured with a specific padlock installed at the request of those federal officials following a meeting in June. They had been invited in. They got to see everything. They asked the president to put a padlock on it, and they did. And in August, before any kind of subpoena or formal request, the FBI goes ahead and conducts a full-on raid, guns blazing. That was months in the making, and we're supposed to believe that this is totally normal, that the FBI is, this is how they behave in every circumstance. This is the sad tragedy of this. The FBI that I revered growing up, the two relatives in my family that I revered growing up, that were part of this agency, they have now shattered their reputation in all things, especially with Donald Trump. Now, even CNN's top security analyst said the raid was dangerous, it was not warranted, and it was only about documents for the National Archives, if it was. Remember, in 2017, former President Obama, you might have forgotten this, the New York Post remembered. They shipped 30 million pages of sensitive and possibly classified materials to Chicago. And by the way, he has yet to return any of it to the National Archives, not one page. So is his house about to get raided? Chris Wray, care to answer? And who could forget Bill Clinton and Sandy Burglar? Remember the guy goes into the National Archives, where it's already archived, and steals classified documents from the National Archives, shoving them down his pants and underwear and into his socks. And his house was never raided. Instead, you know, everyone just said he was sloppy. He was sloppy, fined a few $1,000s, slap on the wrist, it's all over. And, of course, there's Hillary Clinton. Who could forget? She stored classified material on multiple private servers that were hacked by foreign governments. It put our country's national security at risk. No raid on her home in Chappaqua, no charges. According to Comey, despite evidence of law-breaking, his words, not mine, no reasonable prosecutor would ever bring charges against Hillary right before an election. And what about Joe and Hunter, who are now enjoying apparently a long vacation? Is the FBI, is the raid of Biden's vacation home now imminent? When will Hunter's phone and laptop be seized? Christopher Wray, the FBI director, has had that laptop for nearly 2 years. We know that there's evidence of crimes on the laptop. We know that there's evidence that Joe Biden was up to his eyeballs in foreign business dealings with countries like Ukraine and Russia and China. And one would have to ask the next logical question, is that why Joe Biden gave a Nord Stream 2 pipeline waiver to Vladimir Putin? Is that why he wants to remove tariffs in China? Is that why he gave 1 million barrels of our strategic petroleum reserves to China? You know, we don't now live in a country with equal justice or application of our laws. That is sad. That means we don't live in a country that's living up to its Constitution. If your last name is Clinton, Obama, Biden, if your name's Hunter, you can do anything you want and get away with it. But if you are a Republican, if you support President Trump, if you voice frustration with your woke school board, or God forbid, run for office as a conservative or Republican, good luck, because the FBI is watching your every move. And now this is sad, but it's true. Christopher Wray appears to care. He couldn't care less. All right, let me be clear and let there be no ambiguity. No member at all in law enforcement should ever be threatened with violence. That can never be tolerated. Now, by the way, I wish in the summer of 2020 that Democrats, the media, and the FBI director would have spoken out and defended cops like we did on this program. We had thousands of police that were pelted with bricks and rocks and frozen water bottles and Molotov cocktails. They injured thousands of cops over the summer of 2020. And yes, we do know that there are bad apples in law enforcement, but they are the small minority, including bad apples in the FBI. And then we have high-ranking officials that refuse to clean up this organization. The vast majority, though, of law enforcement do risk their lives daily to protect all of us, and we should honor them and protect them. We defend those who serve and protect. We deplore any call for violence. And unfortunately, that's not true in the Democratic Party. Don't believe me? Here's a quick reminder.
So I know that there's an outrage right now, I guess, about protests that have been peaceful to date, and we certainly continue to encourage that outside of judges' homes, and that's the president's position.
You get out and you create a crowd, and you push back on them, and you tell them they're not welcome.
I want to tell you, Gorsuch, I want to tell you, Kavanaugh, you have released the whirlwind, and you will pay the price.
Get up in the face of some Congress people.
They're not going to stop before Election Day in November, and they're not going to stop after Election Day. And that should be, everyone should take note of that on both levels, that this isn't, they're not going to let up, and they should not.
Chris Wray, I know the Department of Justice wants to look into parents that speak out at school board meetings. Did you ever speak out against those high-ranking Democrats who are encouraging rioting, encouraging violence, the rioters to burn our cities to the ground? They're not going to stop. They won't stop. You better take note. Or tweeting out a fund that gets the rioters out of jail. Where were you in the summer of 2020? Where were any of the Democrats? Where were you when Chuck Schumer was threatening Supreme Court justices on the steps of the Supreme Court? Where were you when Supreme Court justices were being doxxed, when their kids' schools were being doxxed, where the churches they attend were being doxxed? Or are you only focused on Donald Trump and Trump supporters and parents at school board meetings, those mean old parents that believe in age-appropriate material being taught? Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.